going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Opinionated Off Topic. Today I'm with my co-owner and co-guest, or not co-guest, co-owner and co-host.
Guess I got demoted.
Sorry, co-owner, co-host, Carlos Mojica, and we're with Evan Kirkham. Is that how you pronounce it? Co-founder and CEO of Outlier, and we're gonna talk about what he's doing for the sports world and kind of creating his own niche and space. So, without further ado, let Carlos jump it off. As always.
Thank you. Taking time out your day, especially in the middle of the day. I know we all have busy lives, so thank you for taking time and coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
But tell us a little about yourself, a little backstory, a little rundown, where you started, where you came from, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'll kind of give you the whole bio here. So my name's Evan Kirkham. I'm from North Dallas, a town called Flower Mound. Grew up there, huge sports fan, Rangers, Cowboys, Mavs, Stars, like all DFW teams. I actually went off to school, did my undergrad at University of Mississippi, so huge SEC football fan, huge Ole Miss Rebel. Was working in politics after that, spent some time on Capitol Hill, spent some time in Boston working on a presidential campaign, and then finally made my way back to law school at SMU in Dallas. Finished that, practiced securities litigation for about 3.5 years, and then was sitting on my couch, and I promised, here's how I'm getting into the sport. So I'm sitting on my couch watching a Thursday night football game. I always misquote this. I don't know if it was Cowboys-Eagles or Cowboys-Giants, but definitely Cowboys. And Jason Witten and Booger McFarland are on the call, and both of them are like notoriously awful, right? And like just bad.
It could have been one of the worst games to watch.
It's like Jason Witten's just awful. So. But for me, it's like not only were they just garbage commentators, but I was especially pissed at Jason Witten because I'm like, dude, cheer for the Cowboys. Like, you're a Cowboy. You're going to get your number retired and everything. But he just couldn't. And so in that moment, I had this idea for the first product that we launched. It was called Colorcast. It's a social sports talk app where anyone, anywhere with no equipment can commentate on live sports. So we started with that, grew that to about 10,500 monthly active users, and built a really cool team. Probably get into the team later, but we just have an amazing team. And we just launched our second product, which is called Outlier. And you can kind of think of it as like a kayak for sports betting. You can browse, analyze, and actually execute any of your sports bets all kind of in one spot. So anyway, sports fan turned lawyer turned sports fan again, sports CEO, I guess. Entrepreneur, yeah.
So how did you pitch the Colorcast idea to your friend? Because I found y'all a while ago on Podcorn.
Okay, yeah.
And we tried to get something going through that. And then when I was reading the description, I was like, this is dope. Like, this is a dope idea. Like, I've never heard of this before because we always like sit here in our living rooms and talk about the game and whatnot. And then y'all gave people a platform to like just be able to do that.
Totally.
So how did you even go about pitching that idea to your friends and like, oh yeah, let's do that?
Yeah. So it's crazy. So I'm like, and I promise I'm going to answer this question, but I back in, I guess, what was it, 2018, 2019, I got on this kick where I would like post startup ideas on LinkedIn. I'm honestly like, if you follow me on LinkedIn, like I'm probably already muted because I just like post way too much. But I was posting startup ideas like at least every week, and I posted the idea for Colorcast, and our very first investor, well, would soon be our very first investor, actually messaged me. He's like, hey, take that down. Let's go get lunch. And so that kind of turned it into our first investment, and then I was able to start building out the team and building out the product and all of that. But no, people understood that idea pretty quickly. I mean, especially folks like yourself who are in the sports podcasting, sports commentating business.
Yeah,
like it's a really, really cool product. The reason we're really moving into Outlier is probably tenfold. One of them is the entire sports industry is moving into sports betting, and there's just some really cool stuff, and we're kind of uniquely positioned to bring a really great first of its kind product to market. So that's why we're like running after that really, really hard. But Colorcast was great proving ground for us, and definitely got kind of the team out there.
Yeah. Is Colorcast still a thing? Is it still up and running?
It's not. No. So So we shut it down at the end of the year. We're sitting on the tech, so we could always bring the tech back if we ever wanted to like incorporate it into Outlier. But no, we hibernated it. For the time.
Was it something like y'all just completely shut down, or is it something like we're shutting this down, but we have this new app coming out and try to bring y'all's audience from there to Outlier.
Yeah, there's definitely crossover audience. I mean, basically every sports fan now is becoming a sport better. So like there's tons of crossover audience there. There are also people that are just commentating on sports that love to use our research tool just to like figure out what the lines are and what the stats are and all that. So there's some good crossover there, but so there's some community, but I mean, some of the community still remains on Outlier, or was moved over to Outlier, but we've kind of started building a whole new community with all new users and are finding actually a ton of success on it. So
okay,
yeah,
and how does it? I guess you can make the app in Texas because sports betting isn't legal in Texas.
Yeah,
there's ways around it, but like sports betting itself isn't legal. So how?
Yeah, so there's so the app itself is kind of like a research tool more than anything. We're not a sports book. Like I'm not taking anyone's money. I'm not betting against the user.
Yeah.
What we're saying is like, let's say you're looking at LeBron. You're trying to look at like LeBron's 30-point over for tonight or something like that. You just go on Outlier and you can find it. Actually, if we've done our job right, you'll probably see like pretty much first. And then you get to see things like, all right, in the last 20 games, how many times has LeBron hit the over? How about on the road? How about win guarded by Kawhi Leonard? How about whatever, right? And so you start to get a better idea of like, oh, this is a cool bet or not a cool bet. Now that piece of the app you can access in Texas. I mean, I use it right now just to like check it out, and frankly, then to go place a bet on Bovada. But if you are in a legal sports betting state, we'll actually like let you build a bet slip out and then execute that bet slip on DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, or Caesars, all from the Outlier app. And so it's just like a one-stop. That's why it's like a kayak, right? Like you're there to like find the flight, but you're technically flying on Southwest, not on kayak.
Yeah.
But like you ran the whole transaction through kayak.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's an aggregator of sorts.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Y'all have kept the same coding team from.
Yeah. And expanded it.
That's
actually.
super nice.
That's super nice.
Yeah.
They're busy.
Dude,
they're busy.
They're really busy. Yeah, bringing a whole new app to life. Like,
yeah.
Props to the whole team, especially the product team.
Especially to like integrate that part of it too.
Oh yeah.
And then to know what state, I don't know. That's a lot.
It was really tough, and then we had to go get relationships with all the sports books, so we did all that. And we integrate with the 4 major sports books. So that was its own thing.
So how did this idea even come up?
Yeah, good question.
Because like you have Colorcast and like 10,500. That's
all
concurrent monthly people using it. That's a lot. And it's man, this can grow. We just got to give it some more ideas or whatnot.
Totally. It's honestly like a really hard decision, and it's one that like we spent a ton of time making. So Outlier grew out of Colorcast, and what I mean by that is this: we were listening to our users. Our users were saying, "Hey, we want to be able to bet in the app." And at the time, we're like, "I just don't even know what that means." Like, you can't do that. Sorry.
Yeah.
But then the kind of cries for it. Cries is probably too much, but whatever.
Yeah.
It started like people were like, "No, the demand for it." It's like, I want to bet. We're like, all right. So, and then the kind of big like watershed moment was New York State passed legislation to legalize sports betting in January. Yeah, and they did like $1 billion of handle in the first month. And at that time, as a team, we all sat around and were like, oh my God, like sports betting is way bigger than we even knew. Like this is going to be a thing. Let's dedicate some resources to figuring out like how we fit into that picture, right? And that's like a hard decision in its own right, because you're like, let's take resources away from the main product and like see if there's something else, which is crazy. So we did that. We conducted almost 1,000 user interviews. We figured out like what the pain points in betting were. Some of them like are pretty obvious. Like people want to be data-driven sports bettors. But the second you're like, all right, well then go research it. They're like, nah, never mind. I'm just gonna throw a dart. So we're like, oh wait, you need to really locate the analysis like at the checkout, like at the point of sale. So we started figuring out some insights like that. We were already contracting with the books, and it just kind of like naturally evolved, and it's still evolving. The way we make product decisions is we straight up ask the users, or we get feedback from the users and we incorporate it. So it's a tricky thing how like products evolve, but I think we've done a good job with it.
Yeah. Sports betting has always been a big thing, but it wasn't until New York passed that bill to where like sports betting is legal everywhere as long as your state accepts it. because I mean, for you can. I've been sports betting for a long time. Yeah. I was on Bovada a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm 26. I was probably like 16. It was probably about 10 years ago. I was probably 16, 17 on Bovada sports betting. So it's always been a big thing, but it was huge once New York passed that law, and then everybody can do it now. But I don't know why Texas. I mean, there probably is a reason. I just don't understand why Texas doesn't allow it, because it brings in so much money. But
agreed. I'll give you a little inside baseball on that, because the Texas legislature is in session right now, and so they're actually going to debate the bill. The question is whether it's the way the legislature works. The lieutenant governor decides what makes it to the Senate floor. The lieutenant governor of Texas is a guy named Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick is morally opposed to sports betting, so he's not letting it hit the Senate floor to vote on. But there's like pretty broad-ranging consensus, even from Republicans. They're like, no, this is good. We make a ton of money. We want to make it legal. Otherwise, 16 and 17-year-olds are doing it on Bovada. So like, let's just bring it to light.
Yeah.
There's a big debate on at the Capitol going on about this right now.
You already sports bet?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing it?
Honestly, not that long.
Not
Probably,
that long.
Okay. 3.5-ish years.
I'm just gonna assume that you're not in the green.
Yeah, not in the green.
Yeah, most people are not in the green.
No.
So it's like
you trick yourself to think you are. I hit finally.
Yeah, that's
true. Most people aren't in the green, so it's like. Sure, you might pay out here and there, like, oh, there's 10,000 and there's 15,000, but like every day you're probably bringing like $150,000, like just giving numbers, $1,000. Like, not many people are in the green and constantly in the green, and if you are in the green, not many people are like high in the green.
Mm-hmm. That's true. No, you're totally right.
So
it's really
I don't
hard
understand.
to get an edge on the sports book. For us, like what we're trying to do with Outlier, we hope you win more bets, but it's kind of a little more like, I don't even know, fundamental than that, which is. When you wake up on a Saturday or whatever, Friday morning, and you're like, oh, I'm going to bet on the Lakers game tonight. You place the bet on LeBron or whatever. When you go hang out with your friends later that night and you guys are like watching the game and your buddy's like, oh, well, why do you have LeBron for 30 points? It's kind of getting to the point where it's not really enough to be like, oh, LeBron's really good and the Lakers are, whatever. The Lakers are really good and LeBron's really good. Like, that's just not going to cut it anymore.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to say something like, well, LeBron's hit 30 points in the last 5 games on the road when guarded by Kawhi. And all of a sudden, your friends are like, dude. You're like, well, I kind of just have a tool. But, you know what I mean? So it's like, hopefully we improve your win rate, but like at very least, like we're just trying to improve your confidence for like, what are you doing and why are you losing? And that's sort of the idea.
Yeah. No, what was that? No. Yeah, like, I don't know because the question for me that I keep thinking of is, you said you had integrated with like 4 other sports books. Yeah. So what sports books are those?
Yeah. So it's FanDuel.
Okay.
It's FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, and Caesars.
Okay.
Which all combined, I'm gonna get this wrong, but they represent like 87% of market share. Like everyone's basically betting on those 4 books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those books is that like Bovada and PrizePicks stuff? Like those are other books?
So those are the
But those like counted as other books?
Oh yeah. Well, in the market I'm talking about, the 87% is like in the U.S. legal full blown betting market.
Okay.
So the other books would be like PointsBet, Bet Rivers. For a while there was like MaximBet, WinBet, Barstool Sports.
Yeah.
Those all are kind of that last like 13%. Then there's like the offshore market, which is like Bovada, MyBookie, AG, Pinnacle, all of that game. That's its own ball game. And then there's this like weird gray space, which is like PrizePicks, which to be honest, I'm not trying to throw shade here, but like to be honest, I don't understand how that's not a sports book. I mean, I can bet on
like player props.
I'm basically, they're forcing me into a parlay that I'm laying. It's like, why can I do that? But anyway.
They classify, somebody told me, but it's classified because at the end of the day, you're playing fantasy.
It's a game of skill.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you're playing like fantasy or something like that. So it's not counting as gambling.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know how they get around it. And so I play poker too.
Okay, cool.
There's a big poker spot here called the Card House. And they're the biggest card house in Texas. And I'm moving up like as space wise. But you can go and play poker, cash games, tournaments, win money. But I think the way they get around it is the same way Bingo gets around it is they have like a membership or like a fee to get in, and I guess that's like that's the way around it because I went and played in a tournament and I won like it was like $600 or something like that. But I don't know all the rules to like how they got around it. That's why I've always been confused. Like, how is it like illegal? But like, you have PrizePicks here, and then you have this here, you have Bingo here, but like, I can't do DraftKings.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's gonna have to get fixed. I think it will get fixed, but maybe not this time around.
How often does the meetings?
Legislator meets in Texas. It's really weird. They meet once every 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't have like full-time career politicians. That's at least what the others say. We don't have career politicians. Like you can have your day job, and then once every 2 years, you get called to the legislature to like pass bills.
Did y'all have the same investor going to Outlier or no?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's the same company, same cap table, all of that.
Gotcha.
Same investors. They've been like ride or die with us, which has been really great.
So on I guess the business side of things, because as we're starting to get into the business side of things, how nerve-wracking is it to like that guy sees your Colorcast idea and is like, hey, let's go have lunch. Yeah. And is it just you going to have lunch, or is it like you and whoever else is in on the pitch, and then how nerve-wracking is going to pitch it?
The actual pitch? Yeah. It totally depends. That one, for instance, not that bad because I know the guy, like we're already friends, all that stuff. So that one wasn't that bad. Sometimes though, like, and you know, whatever. It's crazy how far we've come. Then it was like, I was looking for like 10 grand, which still a lot of money, but like 10 grand. But like in this last round, like we had an investor cut us $1.5 million check. Like that's a different meeting. Totally different meeting. With like a totally different diligence process, like all of that. So it really depends. A lot of times the way it works is with those venture firms is I'll do the first pitch. And sometimes I'll do the second pitch. At some point they want to meet like the co-founding team. So me, our CTO and our CFO and co-founders. And so a lot of times that'll be like the second or third meeting. And then I'll probably have another meeting just one-on-one, and then we'll try to close it. So, but yeah, no, they can be nerve-wracking. That said, like, dude, I've pitched it so many times that it's kind of sometimes in the middle of a pitch, I have to be like, am I just like on autopilot right now, or like, like ask me something like crazy to just like wake me up.
And it's worse to be on autopilot because you're just like spewing everything and you're not really having any emotion behind it. And you're just kind of going through it and getting it over with.
I'm like, oh my god, I need to like, get pepped up. So
how quick did you realize like the $1.5 million check they cut y'all was not a lot of money? Because like
depends on who's watching this.
That's a lot of money. Well, it's a lot of money. But
no, it is.
Yeah, we had this other guy on. I don't know if you heard of them, but they're called Elite Suites.
Elite Suites. Oh yeah. What's that guy? Do you know the guy's name off the top of your head? Amin. Yeah. Okay, I met that guy. Yeah.
We actually went to high school with them.
Yeah.
Small world.
They're killing it.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
So we had him on, and then he was just talking about all that, and he just kind of on like the business side, and when you're trying to build something, you just kind of see how quick that money just goes. And then I'm like, damn, $1.5 million is a lot, but it's like, dude, it's already gone, and I'm still trying to do this, and this.
And what's really hard too, and we found this a lot at Colorcast, is like, so at that point we had raised $1.5 million, and it's crazy. Immediately, like everyone in the community is all of a sudden sort of like, yo, can I like get hired, or like where do I get? I'm like, dude, every single one of these dollars is like accounted for immediately. Like it's really hard. You know, when it depends on the firm, but when a venture firm invests in you, they're looking for at least like 18 to 24 months of runway out of that money. So like, you have to like control your spend really, really carefully and be super thoughtful about it. That can be hard.
Yeah.
So, it definitely doesn't feel like unlimited at all.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
I'm already like, oh shit, when do we get back around?
You have to pay, which is an expensive thing. It's like $100, but you have to pay Apple and Android to have the app on there.
Oh yeah.
Then you have to pay for
take a tax on us.
Yeah, and then you got to pay for your coders and then your other employees, and then I'm sure
any sort of marketing, all the AWS spend, all of our vendor contracts. Oh yeah, I mean it just like it racks up so fast.
It racks up fast, and you don't even realize it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Fortunately, our CFO, who's also the best man at my wedding, but our CFO is like an exceptionally conservative spender. So it's funny. We have like a kind of monthly-ish budget meeting, and he'll always just like pull another like 10 or 20 grand out of nowhere. He's like, oh, didn't really tell you guys about this, but like we saved this extra money. I'm like, all right, like let's go. Really happy you're on our team.
Yeah, that's cool.
Did any of y'all even have experience in entrepreneurship / business? Well, I guess entrepreneurship is a business, but like even accounting, any of that?
Yes, I'm actually the only one who's like a little bit out on that. So, like I said, my background was actually in politics and the law. But my co-founder and CTO worked for a startup. Startup's a relative term. I don't know how many employees. They grew to 100 plus employees, and he ran a division there. So he had a lot of that business experience. And then my CFO did Big Four accounting, worked for Deloitte. Like so, he's kind of he's like the finance guy.
Got you.
So I guess I was the only one who was kind of like out on pre-existing business experience, but I've been drinking from a fire hose for sure.
Hey, it comes quick, and you just gotta take all the knowledge you can.
No, I mean that's super interesting because like I have an account, like I graduated in accounting, and like that's what I do right now. So like, I guess taking your skills of the law and all that stuff, how has that influence all your decisions with like betting and stuff? Because obviously the laws are different and whatnot, but I feel like that was definitely a lot easier for you to go in these meetings, talk to these lawyers, just build out the business. Like how much did that help you?
A lot. Actually, what's helped me, not even like the legal training necessarily, but the type of law that I practiced was like trial law. So being like presenting in front of a judge or a jury or whoever, which I got fortunate to do a few times during my career, was like, that's actually what helped me. It wasn't like my knowledge of the law. It was more like the fact that like I can present in front of a jury, which means I can present in front of VCs or whoever. So that was actually probably the most helpful part, or the most helpful like training. But yeah, like some of the legal knowledge has come in with sports betting. Like when we had to hire a law firm to do our seed financing round, like understanding whether the lawyers are doing us right or wrong was actually really helpful. And then even just like kind of negotiating, like I love negotiating, and I think that I picked up some skills with that when I was in the law too. So
probably because I served jury duty not too long ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I don't know why people say they don't like it. I was
Dude,
cool.
I've never served on a jury.
Into it.
I want to do it so bad.
Oh, it's dope. I genuinely liked it. Okay, I was like, I want to do another one. I mean, my case was a cool case, but like. I guess most people don't get cool cases. I mean, it wasn't a murder case, but like what the guy did was, I mean, it wasn't cool, but but
it's juicy.
I always, because one of my friends is in law school too. He's going to St. Mary's.
Okay, cool.
And another one is going to UT. And I've always like thought it was cool, like. Because then they're just arguing with the other person. It's like, who can argue better is what it comes down to. And I was like, man, I bet you, do you feel good when you like prove a point?
When I prove a point?
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife's also an attorney, so it's like, it can be a brawl. Actually though, to be honest, like part of the reason I'm not in the profession anymore is because it's almost too adversarial. Like, honest to God, I've told this story like a million times, but honest to God, I always would start a case. I'd get like, the, pleadings. You flip to the very last page and you see who's the lawyer representing the opposing party. And so what I do is I flip the last page, figure out who it was, look at the phone number, call them, and I'd start with something, be like, hey, what's going on? My name's Evan. Just wanted to introduce myself. I represent so and so. And like 8 out of 10 times they basically just be like, F off, like hang up the phone on me or whatever. I'm like, dude, it's not our fight.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna try to represent my client, but like I'm still gonna be friendly. I don't know. We can argue in front of the judge. Yeah. So anyway, there was a little too much adversarial kind of combat, and I was like, that kind of wears on you.
Going off topic a little bit still, but do you choose? Because like when you first start, you're in like I guess a firm, right? And they like hand you cases, and then obviously as you grow, you can be like your own and like pick whatever cases you want to do. Yeah,
kind of. So when you start as an associate, you get assigned to a partner. The partner has clients, like, a countertop company or whatever. The client is like, I'm getting sued. The partner says, sweet, I'll take the case. And then they say, hey, associate, you do the case.
So
that's kind of how it starts.
Did you do commercial?
Yeah, I did commercial, no criminal, and almost all defense side. So it's like, my guy was getting sued. I'm going to try to defend him. Which in the law really means I'm going to try to buy him a ton of time, and then we're going to cut a deal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
Gotcha.
what it.
Yeah.
So when you're a defense attorney, you just kind of already know like you're gonna lose, but we're gonna see how much you can.
It depends. It depends. Like innocent's not the right word, but like I felt like my guys were often right. But it's just really expensive to prove that you're right. That's what it is at the end of the day. It's really expensive to prove that you're right, so you might as well just like pay them out and move on.
Yeah.
A lot of times that's how I felt about it. So anyway,
was there ever any cases that you looked at and you're like, morally, like I don't want to represent them, but like you have to? Because I always wondered that too.
Yeah. Fortunately, no. Like I said, it's mainly like commercial stuff. So if I'd been a criminal defense attorney and it's like someone had, aggravated assault or something, maybe I wouldn't want to represent them or be like harder. But for me, it was more like, you breached this contract, you owe me $1 million. Like, no, I didn't, because that term doesn't make sense. Or like, a lot, there was rarely like morality involved.
Yeah.
So that does make it a little easier.
Yeah, I applaud y'all because all the stuff that y'all have to remember while arguing. What's it called? Deliberating? Is that what it's called? Or is that when you go in the back?
That's when you go in the back.
Okay,
attorney.
okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. You have done jury duty.
Yeah.
Presenting in front of the judge or the jury is like it can be pretty intimidating.
Yeah, and then you just have to remember everything, all the evidence, and then all their laws and everything, and it's like, oh my God, I could not do it. And because when I went, the defense attorney was like, he was kind of everywhere. Like he would always have to like scramble to find what he was looking for. And I was like, I feel like that's like the jury sees them like, that's not that good of a look. Exactly. I feel like you're not like prepared or organized.
Perceptions and like they say you like win the case in the first, in opening arguments, because whether you like it or not, the jury is like immediately decides, I like that guy. Mm-hmm. And again, whether it's a conscious bias or not, they're going to be like thinking of every fact they can to like, it's going to break in that direction. Cause like, I like that guy. Yep. So it's a game of theater, honestly, more than anything, for sure.
Yeah. So going back to kind of like bet outlier and stuff. No, it's fine. It's fine.
I just get interested in that kind of stuff.
For sure. Love that stuff. But like, I had like a thought, because basically, because I almost took like a part-time job with Pro Football Focus.
Oh, cool.
To do like the analytics and run the data and stuff from watching the games and things like that. So I know that like that's substantially different because that's like literally straight data based off of like what they're doing in game. But for like betting and stuff and getting those analytics and data, how do you guys like compile like a team of like data scientists, or like do you guys have like a certain program that like runs your data and then you get this information to spit out, or is it kind of just more straightforward?
Yeah. It's we are really API driven, so we've partnered with a number of vendors who have the data handy.
Okay.
Now, to be honest, that's really just step one. It's not as easy as like, sweet, thanks for the data. Let me show it on my website. Like, I guess you can do that, but what's the value add? So for us, like the big value add was, like, because for instance, if you want, let's go back to that LeBron James 30-point over example. If you wanted to take that bet tonight, you can go to basketballreference.com. But what are you going to be looking at? You're going to be looking at a giant spreadsheet of LeBron stats for all time, right? And it's just like hard to make sense of what it is you're looking at. So one of our biggest breakthroughs was, no, we're only going to show you LeBron stats that are relevant to that 30-point over. Mm-hmm. So everything from like, again, like how has he performed on that 30-point over in the last 10, 20 games? How about guarded by that player that he's guarded by tonight, right? Like we've got some really cool insights around particular bets. How's his usage going to change if AD sits? That type of stuff. All for you to like make a decision about a particular line versus like whether or not LeBron's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, but that's cool. Pro Football, they've been killing it too. Like they've been in the game for a long time. They've got a loyal user base. Like
because they will post some stuff and I'm like, I don't really agree, but then at the same time it's like data, so it's like true,
Yeah, exactly.
So no, I was just curious on that. And what are like when you designing the app, I haven't really got a chance to download it and look at it, but how important is making it user friendly for the consumer? Because sports betting in general is already pretty intimidating. Yeah. So for someone to take the next step and download an app, when they look at the app, is it easier to use, or is it kind of like how do you feel about that?
Okay, so I think that the product success is 50% like how value add is the data, 50% how easy is it to use. I mean, that's really rough. If I really sat here and thought about it, I'd probably give you different percentages, but like roughly, it's really important, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's actually one of the major complaints. Like, even if you go on, it's crazy with all the resources they have. But if you go on like BetMGM or Caesars or whatever, Caesars actually not too bad, but it's honestly like hard to decipher what's going on. You're like, I'm just trying to find LeBron's rebounds plus points. It's like, where is that? What does minus 170 mean? Like, it's just, they're really, really hard to navigate. So we knew that one of our charges was to make sure that it was insanely user-friendly. So we think we've done a really good job. We've got a design studio that just kicks a ton of ass. Our product team kicks a ton of ass. And I think the app does too. So.
I haven't. I've been retired for the game.
Right.
I've done my time. But I haven't got a chance to look at it just because I already know if I start looking at it again, I'm just gonna go back into it.
Yeah. Okay. Right on.
But
you'll win more. No, I'm never gonna make that representation. We hope you win more.
Is it free, subscription based, yearly, or one-time fee?
It's 7-day free trial wherever you sign up. We have a web app which you just go to outlier.bet on your computer, or you can download the iOS app by searching Outlier. It is free for 7 days, and then it's $20 a month or $199 a year. So the yearly rate is obviously better. I don't have the data in front of me, but we see a non-insignificant amount of people doing the annual because they get in there and they're like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna lock in the price right now. But yeah, that's how the pricing works. We might try to do some like better kind of tiering of prices later, or we have really kind of discrete sections of the app where we might just charge for one section, not the other section. But right now it's just like $20 a month, flat fee.
How do y'all come up with like rates?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I was just doing like some of this reading on price. I was doing a bunch of reading on pricing earlier this morning. Right now, the way we did it is a really, really kind of awful rudimentary way, which is we just try to look at comps in the market. We're like, people pay about $20 for this a similar tool. So we did some of that, but we do need to spend time and like really think about our pricing more seriously and like kind of how we think about that. Because not that I want to charge people more, but honestly, like you'll see people joining sports betting Discord servers for like $70 a month.
Yeah.
And not to like hate on any of that, because they're actually really cool and useful and it's like social and stuff. But in a lot of instances, we provide a lot more value than a random Discord server, and we're charging like a quarter of the amount or whatever. Like this, we could probably charge more, but we're not.
Yeah.
At least not yet.
Would you ever on Twitter, do you ever follow anybody that like does sports bets?
Oh yeah, it's like my whole life.
What's her name?
Oh yeah, so I had a friend, Lauren Cowling. She's like on Twitter.
Seen her.
Yeah. Well, she
and also what's the other guy's name?
Trent. I don't know his last
Book It
name.
with Trent?
Yeah, Book It with Trent, and
yeah.
they started like Book It Sports, but theirs is. I'm not really too sure what it is. Theirs looks like it's more like content driven betting.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't think they really give you. Well, they have like some subscription service, so they probably do give you tools for betting and stuff.
Yeah.
But theirs seems like more content driven. So I guess when you see, I don't know where you were going with this,
Go
but
ahead.
I guess when you see like people like doing that type of content or that type of content, does that make you think we need to eventually hire like our team of people to maybe make content with Outlier? Because obviously you did Colorcast and you had like that community and they were like doing content essentially with Colorcast. But do you think there will be like a space for Outlier to eventually have like, oh well, this is like a representative who like uses Outlier and they post their bets, but their tool is from Outlier, but they're like like a content creator. I don't know, like
basically what I was going to ask.
No, that's a really good question. Honestly, something we're still like messing with right now. We're doing some of that though.
Yeah.
Like we've affiliated with a number of sports bettors that are like sports betting personalities, and they'll like post their picks for the night and be like, oh, here's where I researched them. They'll like do screenshots of the app or little video walkthroughs of the app.
Yeah.
So we're already doing some of that stuff, and that's actually been like pretty successful. We are bringing a few people in house to start doing some content, but that's really just like educational blog stuff more than anything. Well, I don't think we'll ever get back to the scale of like the content we were producing on Colorcast, which in some instances was like 500 casts a week or more. Like I don't think we're really going back there in terms of content creation. But and honestly, we're not like competitive with Trent or anyone like that. They are very much like content. Like people pay and tune into him because he's like funny and like
he like streams and stuff.
Yeah, he like streams. Yeah, like that's not really our business model. Like, but he would be a great partner for us.
Yeah, got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Got you. Like use this tool.
Yeah, use this tool, or like I'm using this tool. You should check out this tool. Like that's more where I see that fitting in.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense.
And like I said, we've seen some success with that too. It's amazing how like, communities of people like Trent's community trust Trent.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so they're like, oh, dude, that's like helping him win and make money. Like, I'm downloading it. Like, no questions asked. That dude uses it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's crazy I would trust them because they're probably not in the green either.
Yeah, probably not.
They're probably just post the ones they win, and I'm gonna keep the ones that lose.
Well,
tucked away.
I think the funny thing with Trent is like people like the play is to fade Trent.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure his whole thing is like
fade me.
Yeah.
They went to the Natty, right?
They went to the.
I mean,
they went to the Natty.
Wears the sunglasses in his ass.
Yeah.
He's a big TCU guy, right?
Yeah.
I think I saw him at TCU.
Yeah, because when I first like met Lauren, she had like 2,000 followers. Now she has like 76,000, and like she just posts all her bets and like growing this community and stuff. Like people like trust her. Like I saw people in the comments saying like, because like she was like really known for like the college basketball bets.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like she lost, like, I don't know, she went on like a bad streak, and then people were like defending her, like, nah, like Lauren paid for my vacation and stuff. It's just cool to see like how much people are like making, especially like betting like full time, essentially. Like it's like their main source of income. Like they just bet, and which I don't know why they would do that, but they just bet, and that's like how they make their living, so it's crazy, honestly.
Because he wanted us to do like a betting segment on some of our shows before, and I was like, that's a scary place to go down, because once you start getting them wrong, it's like people are coming for your neck.
They are.
You know what I mean, so we're not going there because we're a tool, right? Like like I've said probably 3 times already, like we don't want to get judged on whether we're winning or losing or whatever. Because that's not what it's for. It's like for you to make your own decisions.
Educational purposes.
Yeah. You make your own decisions. But I would say this: if you guys ever do that, what a lot of people have found success in is you can make the pick recommendations, but part of that segment has to be, here's how I performed last week. Because unless you're like, no, we lost, but we won those 2, like people just want to ride with you, right?
Yeah.
Like, and if you lose, but you are admitting that you've lost, that's cool. It's when someone just is like, I never lose, and I'm on a 100 streak. Like, don't watch any of my previous videos because that's where I've lost all of it.
Yeah.
So as long as you're just like owning it, I think you get a lot of credit fast.
Mm-hmm. Those the agencies y'all go to for the data, are they the same agencies all across the board, or do you have to go to different agencies for MLB, college football, college basketball, NFL, UFC?
Yeah. There are some really big data providers out there that cover like all the sports,
of it.
But we're not just like relying on one data provider. There's other people that we get other things from, and but it's crazy. Like that was a whole new world to me too. Like there's just giant business to business companies that are selling sports data streams
strictly, and just do that.
Yeah, and they're just selling it to companies. They don't talk to consumers. They're not touching the end user. They're just like, hey, you're a company in the sports space, like buy our API.
Is there problem ever run into, like, just say, I don't know, Circuit to the America is doing all the NFL, and then the Rangers are doing all the NFL. Do you have to like choose between which company y'all want to go with to pull the data from, or is it just like, we'll just use this data for that?
I don't think I've run into any like exclusivity clause, because as long as, like, I think as far as they're concerned, as long as we're like paying the contract, sweet. They really need to be competing with each other, not on like exclusivity clauses, but on like product performance, or data performance or whatever. So now we contract with multiple data providers that I would consider competitors of each other, and they're that's fine.
When y'all first started, or even still now, do y'all cover all sports, or is it just like major sports that people are typically betting? Yeah,
we do the big 6 right now. So NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, NCAA football, NCAA basketball.
Gotcha. No UFC?
No UFC yet, but dude, I'm not the biggest UFC fan. One of my co-founders is, but like people are just like UFC. Yeah. So that's probably on the docket somewhere. I want to get in golf. I think golf's really fun. to bet on, and then of course we have to cover the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
We're not
Love
on
that.
yet, and MLS, but anyway, more to come.
Okay. The same company with agencies, they have those as well. Y'all don't have to go look for other people.
That's a good question. I'd have to look. Yeah, I think that there might be some limitations there around like UFC, for instance.
Yeah.
Like most people, well, maybe even MLS. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, because I will bet very rarely still, but I do still bet, but it's very rare.
Yeah.
And most of the time I bet it's typically like UFC.
UFC, yeah.
I'm a big UFC guy, and I stay away from football, especially college football. I feel like college football is the hardest, because you have like you'll see Alabama playing Citadel, and then like Alabama's supposed to cover the spread by 46.5 points.
Yeah,
like that's a big ass spread.
Yeah, it's like
and it's like at the end of the day, it's like I don't want to take the money line because my return on investment is gonna be absolutely nothing.
Totally.
So it's like, but then like, all right, well, they're playing the Citadel. They should beat them by 46 points. I'm just throwing a number out there. But they only beat them by 35 because at the end of the half, the score was.
And then they sat everyone.
35-0.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
Yeah,
but
no,
it's just
hard.
stuff like that. It's just hard.
And for those bigger markets like NCAA football, NFL, less NBA just because there's so many games. The more betting volume that you have on a particular market, they call it like the sharper the market gets, because it just has a bunch of data. Like the market is like, okay, we've seen 1 million people bet on the Super Bowl spread, or like millions of people bet on the Super Bowl spread. Like that spread is going to be so freaking tight. Like it is like honed into exactly what the spread, like the market feels the spread should be.
Yeah.
Right. So like the more volume a market has, like the tighter the spreads are. And so it is like UFC's still pretty ripe. Golf is probably less ripe, but like if you moved into, like, I don't even know, like English darts or something, like you'd be able to game the book a lot better there.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that to say, you're totally right about college football.
Would you? I don't know if you like know what esports are with like gaming and stuff, but like there's gaming picks on like PrizePicks for like the Call of Duty League, CS:GO, Valorant, all these other games. So would you ever think about incorporating that at all? Or do you think it's
yes?
Too, okay.
No, I don't think it's too far afield. We actually see it like you can see it. Or was it DraftKings? Some of the major books are starting to bring in some of the esports.
DraftKings does have.
DraftKings.
I think as long as if you have a actual league, so Valorant has a league, Call of Duty now has a league, like a franchise. If you actually have a franchise now, then I'm pretty sure they're on. Those, because I know before, I think Bovada used to do Call of Duty, but when they were doing Call of Duty wasn't an actual franchise in league yet.
Okay.
It was events thrown by like a company called MLG.
Oh yeah. Okay, right.
So now it's like there's like their own league, and it's like 25 million to get in minimum, and then it's like
more legit.
Yeah, it's legit.
Yeah.
So it's like as long as you have one of those, I think you're on everything, because PrizePicks has it, DraftKings has it. Those are the only two that I know of, because those are the only two that I've seen.
Totally.
Bovada still has it. But I think as long as you have like a league, you should.
As long as it's legitimate, which makes sense. Like you don't want. There's a group called US Integrity that's doing the exact same thing for like the major sport, which is their whole job is like make sure that like they look for patterns in the data where like, wait, the ref threw 10 more flags than he normally does. Like we're gonna investigate that. Like what is he like throwing the game or whatever? That's probably a little harder to do in esports, at least, or it's probably just like out of the existing industry's wheelhouse. You're like, how do I like police this? So that's
at that point, just be players, because believe it or not, there has been instances where players will throw games on purpose.
Interesting.
Especially it was big in Valorant. Recently I heard that they could like live bet and like lose on purpose and like cash out like immediately. It was like a thing that was going on like
that's crazy.
Last like couple weeks or so. I heard it on like one of the podcasts.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that happened in the UFC too.
Yeah.
One of the coaches.
Huh.
Yeah. It's crazy.
We'd like to get into it. I just don't know when.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, there's always room for growth, so
that's right.
At least you know that you have some stuff to grow with.
That's true. That's true.
How important do you think sports betting is for sports?
That's a good question. I think it's actually like really important, and here's why. I would never watch a, Cleveland Guardians, Detroit Tigers game. Just wouldn't. But if I got $5 on it, I absolutely will.
Yeah.
Right. And not only will I watch it, I'll watch it. I mean, assuming I take a bet, like the run line for the entire game, I'll watch the whole game.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's really good to bring people in. I also think it's like this really neat moment where there's kind of like a leveling of the playing field. So I think that we actually have seen, and I can't remember the data on this, but it's something like 40+% of bets are placed by women. And I think it's like, because everyone's a little bit confused by betting, there's this moment where everybody's confused. Therefore, like, everyone's kind of on the same footing. Mm-hmm. Therefore, like, no one is it's like, I'm the king of sports betting. So I think it's cool for sports because it's like bringing new people in where they don't feel like they have 10 years of catch up to do. It brings people to sports that they wouldn't otherwise watch. Like, the WNBA betting has been like really, really hot. A bunch of people are watching WNBA because they're able to bet on the games. I'll watch a Tigers game, So I think it's good for the sport.
Yeah.
There are things that like could be drawbacks, right? Like if you get pissed at the player, like if you're like calling out the player, like, oh, Baker, like, why, what are you doing kneeling with, like, what am I? What's it?
I'm an OU fan.
Oh, you Baker?
Yeah, he's an OU fan.
Actually, I was looking at that Jalen Hurts thing.
OU in Texas.
Okay.
Well, he's also a big Baker fan, and a lot of us fans
like
give him shit about Baker, so that's why it's funny that you brought up Baker.
Nice. Actually, it was that Sooners poster that was probably like put him on my mind. But anyway, like if you're calling out the players or something, like you need to remember that it's just like a game. If you're betting enough to piss you off like that, you're betting too much, right? Like just bet in a way that like makes it more fun for you. The way I like to say is like if you pay normally it would be all but free for me to watch a Cowboys game, but if I put $10 on it, I'm like doubling or tripling the entertainment value of the game for me.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like buying an admission to a movie or something, right? It's like, well, that's going to cost me $10 or $20, and I get X amount of enjoyment. I'm about to make the Cowboys game 3 times more entertaining. Like, I'm paying for that with my bet, and maybe even make money on it, but probably paying for it.
Do you watch sports or view sports differently now since you started this?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm watching way more sports. I'm watching sports that I wasn't watching previously. Like I've got pretty into MLB. MLB is like the bettor's heaven because there's just so many stats.
There's a lot.
Yeah, so like I've been watching a lot more MLB. Other than that, I mean, the fantasy football already kind of did this for me, which is like I'll watch the game just for one player. Sports betting props will do that to you. I don't know. I guess I'm just more enthused about it. Like if it's
with MLB, there's more stats and then there's more players because it's all individual based.
Yeah.
There's 11 on each side.
Yeah.
Not 11.
And there's 165 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. Are you counting them?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
4 infield players.
I know why I can't think of this. I play baseball.
Yeah.
Anyways, but do you have all those individual players to like even bet on, and then that's just the starting, and then people can come in and
no run first innings.
People can come in and pinch run. And there's a bet on that. There's a reliever. How many pitches is he gonna throw? How is he coming from one? Is he coming from like? There's just so much little stuff. But
and one thing that's growing in popularity, we don't service this very well yet on Outlier. Maybe we will one day. Is micro betting. And what I mean by that is like not only can you bet like on no run first inning, but you can bet like on the particular at bat. You can even bet on the particular pitch. Like is next pitch curveball? Is next pitch fastball? Right? Like so there's even these like crazy micro markets that are starting to emerge too. And there's some cool companies in the space that are addressing that.
That's great.
I need to get with them because I played baseball and I was a pitcher.
So you know what's coming.
So a lot of the times I'll be watching the game and I was like, all right, well if I was pitching or as a pitching coach, I'd be like, oh, it's fastball high and in, or slide it down and away, or get him in the hands and then run it up and away, just to change eye levels. And like 9 times out of 10, I'm typically right. But just because like I've played the game so long and I've been a pitcher for so long, like it's natural to me. So like I just kind of already know what to throw and like where to throw it because I've been doing it for so long. But I need that's the market I need to get into because I was in the no runs inning plus inning or 2 innings. But
college
for college baseball. But
nice.
that was so hard.
Yeah.
There'd be times where it'd just be like a Tuesday night game. LSU's playing just a random team, or Ole Miss be playing a random team.
Yeah.
And you think like, oh, LSU, even their Tuesday starters should still dominate this team.
Yeah.
They scored a run. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
Bent over. The whole slip's gone. One last question for me. What are some of y'all's expectations and goals y'all have for this year and going forward?
Yeah. This is, I don't know whether it's like lofty or not. We want to be profitable. We think we can get there. We're not honestly too far off. But it's just very different business that we're running now with Outlier as compared to Colorcast, where like we wanted to start bringing in ad dollars. Now it's like literally every time there's a new user, it's like, oh, there's $20, $20, $20, $20. So like it adds up.
Yep.
So we really want to get profitable. I think we can probably do that this year.
Yeah.
So that's like my main kind of high level goal. But then also like we just want to make sure we're building the best product for our users and getting really good feedback. Like we want 5-star reviews. Like I love those. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff. Just like our signals that we're doing things right. So there are a bunch of micro goals in there too.
I mean, that's really it for me, like question wise.
Do you have anything for us?
Oh shit! I didn't know you were going to turn tables on me. But how about y'all? What are y'all goals? What are y'all's goals? Is there a particular guest you're trying to land, or like?
I mean, there's always my
definitely a lot of those
guests that I want my guest, and it's back to the esports. But his name's Hector Hex Rodriguez. Okay. He's the owner of Opti Gaming, and that's just kind of my inspiration. He's been a lot of inspiration for a lot of the stuff that ideas and stuff that I come up with, and then just building what he's built. That's who I would love to get on. Our main goal is probably to get monetized of some sort through it's either TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, or just YouTube in general. But get some kind of monetization.
Okay, right on. Like maybe partner with brands or something.
That too.
That's like another.
Ads.
That's another. Because we're now at the point where we're getting the views. Now we just have to. It's on us to capitalize and reach out to other people to like get partnerships or sponsorships or affiliate codes or whatever the case is. So it's on us at this point to do that.
We can get you some affiliate codes, very very minimum. So
whatever matters.
You gotta download the app first.
You got it back in.
I for sure get that. No, for me, we're about to start our merch line, Opinionated Threads. So we're gonna.
Oh, cool.
It'll be it won't just be like strictly graphic tees. Like obviously we'll do those, but we want it to be like meaningful pieces, meaningful collections, like stuff that you're gonna, if you buy it from us, you're gonna be like, this is like a one of one or unique type of clothing item that came like dropped with this, instead of just putting out like a graphic shirt or just like a shirt with your logo or whatever. So getting that'll obviously help with the monetization aspect of it. And then we're just getting all these connections from last year and then this year. I mean, even like talking to you now and just meeting people. So we feel like everything's in the right place. It's just really capitalizing on it. And Austin is such a, like when you guys were like, oh, you're in Austin, I was like, that's crazy. Cause like I tell them all the time, Austin is such a big market just for, I feel like anything, like especially if you're creating or like starting a business or anything like that, everyone's here.
I agree
so like just really trying to like capitalize on that and being like a media outlet or a voice for people like you to get on our platform and tell their story and whatnot. So just really trying to really elevate it this year. And I think with the stuff we have in place, we'll definitely be there. So
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Are you the only one in Austin? Is the whole team in Austin?
No, actually, we're there are 8 of us. Only 2 of us are in Austin.
Okay.
The rest, Denver, Chicago, New Orleans.
It's kind of scattered.
Just outside of Manhattan, and Portugal.
Oh,
Portugal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
We actually are likely to be, I don't know if my team will watch this before we announce it, but we're probably going to meet up in Portugal this summer, which I'm like so stoked about.
That'd be fun.
So we don't have an office, so like we need to have like team building. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's actually super, we end up being really productive in those times. So we try to meet up twice a year as a full team, and we've always done it like in New York or in Austin. But we're like, why don't we just go to Portugal where one of the guys lives? So
that'd be fun.
That'd be super cool.
Y'all talk every day, I'm assuming, or
like Slack, dude. Slack,
Slack,
we're all over Slack all day, every day. Like it's just.
And this is all y'all's full-time job?
Yes. No, not true. One of our co-founders actually, the other guy who lives here in Austin, works for Oracle still.
Okay.
So so he works for our NetSuite. He puts in a ton of hours on Outlier still.
Yeah, I mean you have to. It's
that's us.
Another one of our friends is creating an app, so he always tells us like how long it takes just to get it up and running.
Oh, dude.
And they're doing everything in house because they all went to school for coding, but I think majority of them did go to school for coding.
It's called Link.
It's called Link.
Okay.
Am I allowed to say the gist of it?
I mean,
you don't have to. Sorry, I didn't even mean to get on this.
It's just basically like the app is basically what it's going to do is you're going to be able to get in the Link lobby, which is what they call it. Okay. Because I mean, it's almost about to come out. And basically, like if you were, I don't know where you live, like
I live Clarksville.
Clarksville. Okay, so you live there. We live here, and you're like, hey, like because we were talking about like getting food or something. Yeah. Like, hey, like let's go get food. All right, what kind of food do you want? I don't know, like chicken places. We put in like those like general categories. Yeah. And then it literally gives us chicken places exactly in the middle between both of us, points cool. A to B. Yeah, and it could be, and that could be food places, movies, entertainment, bars, all that stuff. And it'll literally give you every single place that's in between you that's exactly like the distance or like relatively close. So you're not like struggling with someone where it's like, oh, we need to meet somewhere. Like, where are you trying to go? So it's super, cool. One of those,
And it also doesn't give away your address either, so they can't see like exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah,
but they do everything in house. So smart. They don't have. I guess they are their own team. So
they all went to Texas Tech, all engineers and stuff. So they can do it themselves.
They've been in-house engineers is huge. I'm like totally non-technical. Like I said, attorney, not software engineer, but you've got a lot of people trying to start apps. They're like, oh, I'll just go on Upwork and try to get someone to do it. It's like, dude, you can't do that.
It costs so much money to start an app.
It costs so much money, and you can't iterate because then when you realize, oh wait, the users didn't want this, they wanted that. Then you go back to the contractor and they're like, sweet, give me another 10 grand. You're like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm not just going to iterate on this forever. So that's really tough.
If you've never coded or seen it, you don't understand how it's, I mean, it is hard, but it's just very time consuming and it's nitpicky.
For sure.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever seen your team like do the codes and whatnot, but they're up at like all hours. Yeah, you're probably like, what the hell are you even doing?
Exactly.
I just don't like to admit it because I just don't want to look dumb.
CJ, over there, you got anything before we hit this off? No? All good? Alrighty. Again, thank you taking time out your day. Busy man, you got a company to run, son. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
No, y'all, thanks for having me on. Yeah. It's been really fun, actually.
Yeah, it's been a great time. I've had a blast. It's always nice to talk, pick other people's brain from business. Who's been in it.
I love talking business at like a high level, like with other. It's so cool because especially for us, we're in the baby steps. Like the content is easy. Now we're trying to learn all the nuances of like scaling and growing a business. So it's cool to just like learn from people and like what they have to offer and stuff like that.
It's really fun. I would say this though, which you guys probably already found. It's like not for the like faint of heart. I mean, I will literally wake up. I used to do this. I'm like way better at this now, but I used to wake up. One of the first things I wanted to do is like check the user numbers from the night before, and it would like dictate my mood for the entire rest of the day. I'd either be like, oh my gosh, this thing's going to the moon, or I'd be like, we're so screwed, like it's over. Like you just, dude, it is a crazy roller coaster. Strap in.
I don't really let things like that get to me. Just, I mean, it's out of your control. At the end of the day, it's out of your control. As long as you're doing what you have to do to what you think is pushing it forward, then that's all you can do. I can't force somebody to go and download Beta Outlier Outlier. If they want to, they want to. If they don't, they don't. It's up on them. And that's kind of where I'm at. So I can't. People write comments back to us all the time. It's like, you hate it or you love it.
Exactly like that.
At the end of the day, it's opinionated for a reason.
Nice.
Exactly.
Actually, one last question. Sure. Advice you have for people wanting to step into the entrepreneur scene / making an app scene?
Okay. A couple pieces of advice. Mm-hmm. workshop your idea with people that you don't know because they'll give you better feedback. Before you spend a bunch of time building an app, see if there's something that you can build that is way simpler and easier to actually validate the idea. Like everyone wants to build an iOS app. No, build a website, see if anyone will use it, and if they do, then build the app, right? Or like literally, I won't digress on this, but like there are really hacky ways to test ideas. Like spin up a Twitter account and just DM people, see if they DM you back about the idea. Like spin up a fake Twitter ad, see if anyone clicks it. Like do things like that before you spend a bunch of time, quit your job, hire a firm, like test the idea. And then be really, really willing to iterate. I mean, even when we were talking about earlier, we were doing 10,500 monthly active users. We pivoted to something totally brand new. It was a really hard decision, totally worth it. But like that was hard, and it felt like success where we were. But you just have to keep seeing the bigger picture and be willing to like call your own baby. I don't think Colorcast is ugly, but call your own baby ugly, and then like make a new baby. I guess.
Yeah. No,
so no extend that analogy, but
you gotta evolve. You gotta evolve. I mean, that's even us. Like to kind of. Like that flag says Opinionated Podcast. We're Opinionated Media. Like that's what we started as Opinionated Podcast. And we rebranded to media because we wanted to do other stuff besides podcasts. We want to do all kinds of media. So it's like that was the first idea. Yeah. And it's probably not the same as yours, but in a way it's like we definitely are expanding. Like we don't want to just be known for just podcasts only, you know. We want to be like you come here for anything.
Like a good example is if you guys launch the merch line and the merch takes off and all of a sudden you're like, wait, if we spend all of our time doing nothing but merch, then like run after that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like not to say that that's necessarily going to happen or that you would for whatever reason give up the podcast, but like you just got to be willing to go where like the users or the customers are taking you.
Yeah. You have to just like give them what they want.
Yeah. So anyway, that would be my piece of advice, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So. Thank you. I know I said it again, but thank you again for real. Means a lot. Yeah, but check them out, especially if you're a degenerate like I was myself at one point. Great stuff. Great things going. More stuff to come soon. So Premier League soon. All that good stuff soon. Outlier everywhere?
Yeah. So website is outlier.bet. Like bet is the com. So outlier.bet.
Cool.
And then, so you can find us there. You can find us on the App Store at Outlier. And then across all socials, we're outlier.bet. So it's outlier DOTBET, right? Like all spelled out, outlier.bet.
Okay. Gotcha.
So you can find us on all socials that way and just give it a try.
Yeah, I'll have everything down below on the screen, all that good stuff, so they'll know where to find you. But go check them out. You get 7-day free trial, so let's see how much money you make in 7 days.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? I might try it out. Might get back into it myself. We'll see. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna come out of retirement.
Yeah.
But that'll do it from the boys over here at Opinionated. We'll catch y'all guys next time. Peace.